that's kind of been started in 1935. As soon as it started, there's an element of the American population, particularly Wall Street, that's never liked Social Security, always wanted people to give that money to Wall Street so they can make their profits and commissions and all the rest of it. So that's been in existence since 1935. In the 1980s, they came up with a brand new playbook. We'll talk about that today, and what exactly is going to happen here for the next 5 years. Even if someone decided, the current administration is definitely, it's the dismantling of the Social Security Administration is not like the dismantling of the East Wing of the White House. Even though they said they're not going to touch the East Wing, they respect the history there and everything. We saw what happened there. It's not going to happen like that. Number one, Social Security has over 1,200 offices throughout the country, and most of those aren't even federal owned facilities. For like my particular office, it was a lease. We had a lease from a particular very super wealthy local, really nice guy though, a real estate guy. So they're not going to dismantle the Social Security buildings. What they're going to do, and what they are doing, it's 100% proven, they are destroying it from the inside, getting rid of employees, getting rid of the systems, making it more difficult for people to jump through all the hoops to get those benefits. So we're going to talk about that today, all of those different policies and what we need to watch out for and what we need to do if you don't want your money given to Wall Street in the future, because they are being very successful. This plan they came up with in the 1980s, it's filtered through to Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, and it's working very well. And we are kind of helping them because we keep just getting distracted by different things. But before we get into this, this is also a live Q&A. Here's what we do. We try to help as many people as we possibly can navigate the bureaucracy so they get all the benefits that they're eligible for, that they paid into. Before we started, we've got someone that is watching the disability playlist and asking about the Social Security Claim Specialist, or AWIC. Looks like both parents have passed and all of that money is stuck in probate. And this person is having a very difficult time. All the assets confiscated, ejected from the home. Need your help, please. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for. It sounds like you're looking for disability. An AWIC is called an Area Work Incentives Coordinator. So if you're receiving disability benefits and you want to see if you can go back to work, Social Security, Congress has passed many regulations and laws that said, yes, people on disability, we want to go back to work. We will do everything we can to make sure they can go back to work. It's good for them. It's good for, it's good for the trust fund. You pay taxes. Everybody likes when you pay taxes. So they've come up with a lot of programs to help people go back to work that are on Social Security disability. And the AWIC, the Area Work Incentives Coordinator, that is a person that is a specialist in a particular area. They don't have one in each particular office. There should be people in every single office in the country. Well, there used to be people in every office in the country that were kind of specialists in terms of those, but there was also one in the area that was the specialist type of situation. But as we'll talk about today, the reason I'm doing this today specifically is there's a new article out there, just came out November 7th, about Social Security employees just having a very tough time. They are having food banks inside of the Social Security offices for the employees there because, they can't, they're going out and get part-time jobs. So when you go to the Social Security office and try to get help, they might not be all there because they were working all night trying to pay rent and buy food for their kids and everything like that. So the Social Security employees haven't got paid during this shutdown. And what happens is, even when it reopens, they're going to have such backlogs. So many people are not going to get paid the correct amount at the correct time because of all these backlogs. And this is going to happen over the next 5 years. 3 more years of the current administration, and let's say the next administration says, okay, we need to put people back in the office to help you get your benefits. That's their job, is to help you make sure your check is correct and on time. And the next administration, if they said, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that, it's going to take a good 2 years. And during that time, it's actually going to get worse. I know, I've done this a few million times. What happens is it takes a while to hire people, and it takes longer to actually train those people. And while those people are in training, you take the best people in that particular office to train those people and review all the claims. So for the next 5 years, at the very least, it's going to be very, very difficult. And that is part of kind of the demolishing of the Social Security Administration. So this person on disability, if you're looking specifically for a WIC, if that's what you're looking at, you're looking to see if someone can help you find a job and tell you about exactly what you can do while you're receiving disability benefits. Yeah, definitely reach out to the local office, and hopefully those people are still there. The most seasoned people at Social Security, most of those pretty much have been kicked out or already left, or we're working all night, doing an Uber or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be a hard time getting any help. If you have any other specific questions, make sure you type it in there, and I'll get to as many as I possibly can within the next hour. Or you can also record a video. In your particular case, if you got a lot more detailed information, go on to my website, mygovexpert.com, and you'll see on the bottom left, there's a little camera icon, and you can record a video, a 2-minute video, and you can ask me your question in more detail, and I will answer it the next day. I've got 3 or 4 of those video questions I'll answer here in a little bit about survivor benefits and Medicare and all the rest of it. Okay, so the Cato Institute, also it became the Heritage organization. They're the ones that wrote Project 2025, and the guy who is one of the architects of 2025 is now the big guy, the Office of Management and Budget. He's the guy that loves the government shutdown. He said he wants to traumatize federal workers, and he's getting exactly what he wants. So he is the big guy that's in charge of essentially the government, the money. And so he is having a birthday pretty much every day. He is loving life. For us, not so much. So the plan that was written back in the 1980s, this was kind of after the multiple attempts to privatize Social Security. They said, okay, wait a second, we can't do it outright. We can't do it like the East Wing, just, call in the backhoes and just destroy it. We can't do that because we'll have 71 million Americans that will rebel. So we have to erode public support. How do we do that? We make customer service, what's the technical word? Suck. Old Marine Corps sergeant. So what are you going to do? We're going to make it terrible. And people are going to yell at the Social Security employees, that yell at Social Security and say, you messed up my check, you overpaid me, you underpaid me, you denied my benefits, you're taking 6 to 9 months, a year, 2 years to get my disability claim approved, you guys suck. And that's exactly the plan. That is exactly the plan. So that's going, check, that one's going perfect. They also wanted to make SSA equal to SSI. And a lot of people don't know what SSI is. My regular viewers here, we've got a bunch of regular viewers. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and that way if you or your family ever have any problems on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, you know where to come. So SSI is called Supplemental Security Income. It's the welfare-based program that the Social Security administers. Social Security took it over from the states in 1974. They just celebrated 50 years having the SSI program. And it's a separate program. It's not Social Security. People think it means Social Security income. No, it's Supplemental Security Income. It's a welfare-based program, low income, low resources. And what the plan was to take pretty much all the money, the trillion so dollars that come into Social Security every year, and that FICA tax, and the $2.5 trillion right now that's in the trust fund. So this year, $3 trillion or so, and pump all that money into Wall Street and let them do what they do. And, heads I win, tails you lose type situation. If they make a good investment, then they'll make tons of money. If they don't, then we get to bail them out. Happened a few times in American history. So SSI, they said, okay, well, we're probably going to need some type of means-tested program to take care of people that are really, really bad off. So the idea was to, okay, for Social Security, majority of the money we'll put into Wall Street, bonds, real estate, wherever. And for the very little bit, the people that really need help will make it SSI. That's probably going to go away, that part of it right now, because now they're even, says we're not even going to feed people in America. So I guess that part maybe they're moving away from. All right, so what else we got here? The House Republican Study Committee have come out with ideas and raise the retirement age. Number one is to raise the retirement age. One of the issues, my regular viewers know what I'm going to show here, 86 full checks. The Social Security Trust Fund is there. It's about $2.5 trillion. But with any savings, once you start pulling money out of it every month, guess what? It slowly disappears, right? So people say it's stolen, it was given. No, if you are receiving a Social Security check, about 10% of your Social Security check right now, this month, came out of the Social Security Trust Fund. And next year, more, and then more and more people are going to start retiring. And so in 87 checks, the trust fund runs out. And when the trust fund runs out at that time, that's going to account for 23% of people's checks, everybody's check. So in 87 more checks, everybody gets at least a 23% cut, as it is right now. This is based on the Social Security Trustees report. This is based on the Congressional Budget Office. They have a little bit different numbers, but it's pretty much the same. I'm going with the Social Security Trustees report. And why do we have this? Because of 40 years of failure. Where's my, 40 years of failure right there. They have kicked the can down the road. They have not done anything. I'm talking both parties, left, right, center, wherever. They haven't done anything in 40 years. The proof's in the pudding. We're going to get cuts in a few years, 23%. And now it's all about privatization. It's all about just say, hey, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. But the one idea they always have is raise the retirement age. And again, private savings, move it over to a private. So you're completely 100% responsible for, anything that happens in your life. The government's not going to be there. Your fellow Americans are not going to be there to help you. No more social safety net. So the current plan is to starve the system, check worst service possible. Even before the current administration, Social Security was at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. And now when the Elon Musk and Doge took over, they took out their chainsaw and they cut, haphazardly, no rhyme or reason, planned people throughout the country. And now the service is even 10 times worse than it was. It was bad before, but this is on purpose. This is not a bug of the system. This is the design of the system. They're also, I did a video over the last few days on the tightening of the disability eligibility. So that's another program they're going to go after, is disability, make it more difficult for people to get disability. And they're also increasing CDRs. CDRs are continuing disability reviews. Those millions of Americans are on disability benefits. They get a continuing disability review every now and then to say, we just want to confirm you're still disabled. Those have increased substantially. And at the same time, the people that are supposed to help you out, they don't exist. So they're going to be sending out all these CDRs, all this paperwork, all of these forms, all that. You're going to be filing for retirement benefits, Medicare, survivor benefits. And this poor guy has stacks and stacks and stacks, and everybody's going to want that person to take care of their particular case. And the current administration is saying, oh, we'll just let AI do it because AI is perfect now, right? Call the phones and see how accurate AI is. There's some stuff that can be done by AI, obviously, but yeah, a lot of this stuff just can't be done by AI. It's unfortunate. All right, so we're going to see an increase of CDRs. The PR, the public relations of this is, it's inevitable. The cuts are going to happen. We've been kicking the can down the road. We haven't done anything substantial for 40 years to protect Social Security, to make sure those cuts don't happen. We tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas. And then we're also, so this is part of the kind of the backdoor privatization. And they actually said the quiet parts out loud. The guy that decided, allegedly, to give one of his old Goldman Sachs buddies $40 billion to protect his investment in Argentina, this is the same guy that was caught saying the quiet parts out loud.
I'm not sure when the distribution level date should be, whether should it be 30 and you can buy a house, should it be 60, but in a way, it is a backdoor for privatizing Social Security.
And he immediately got slapped on the wrist from that. You're not supposed to say that out loud. So he went back and tried to do damage control, but everybody knows that that was the intention, and he just said the quiet part out loud. So the inevitable, the eventual, since the 1980s, since 1935, is always more money to Wall Street, and to keep that money in Wall Street longer. So what we're going to see, we've already seen this with Medicare. And Medicare has Medicare Advantage, which are privatized Medicare. When you have Medicare, there are 6 major gaps of Medicare. And people fill those gaps either through a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. And it really depends on your particular situation. And essentially, Medicare Advantage is privatized Medicare. So they have the prior authorization, they limit the networks and all that, and over half of the people get a Medicare Advantage plan because they can't afford a Medicare supplement plan or whatever the case may be. You know, those are the 2 alternatives you have. I wish there was a better system, but that's the system we have right now. So it's good. It's important that you choose the correct one for your particular situation. But that's the ultimate goal for Social Security, is to have Social Security advantage. And Wall Street will want to keep that money in their pockets as long as possible. So inevitably, you're going to see raising of the retirement age. You're going to see some type of prior authorizations or something. Okay, what do you need this money for? I don't know if we want to give you that money. Survivor benefits. Right now, you can get survivor benefits on any previous survivor. You can get benefits for children under the age of 18. You can get child and care benefits. You can get independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. But when Wall Street gets in there and starts rewriting the rules, I hate to see what happens on disability. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The rules are going to be very, very tight when you're talking about disability if Wall Street gets involved in there. If anybody lives in Florida and a hurricane hits, water damage, you know what the insurance companies make you jump through all the hoops. So that's essentially what we're going to see with retirement with Social Security. If people say, Ed, you're so negative, it hasn't happened yet. Yeah. The tearing down of the wall, the east wing of the White House didn't happen until it happened. So it's important that we actually do something and stay proactive and reach out to our politicians and say, yeah, if you wanted to be privatized, more power to you. But a majority of people in our community definitely don't want that to happen. Okay, let's get into some questions here. I'll show my video questions as well. If you have any questions, make sure you type them in the live Q&A we're having right now. Asking for the son-in-law. Okay, our first hero of the day, looking out for other people around them. You are too awesome. So the son-in-law, Social Security Medicare contacted him, said he needed to sign up soon. He is self-employed and has a group insurance which they like. Does he have to sign up? So yeah, Social Security Medicare, probably a Medicare insurance agent probably contacted, found out that he was 65. Anytime you touch the computer and you start messing around with stuff, there's information brokers that get all that information and sell it to other places. And that's what happens is they find out you're 65 and everybody in the country starts contacting you. And so, yeah, but in terms of Social Security, if he's self-employed, it depends on how much he makes. He can collect Social Security benefits this year. Just have to limit himself to $23,400 if he's making over that in self-employment, or if he's self-employment, that is net income from business. So net income, as long as he stays under $23,400, he can collect Social Security benefits. If he's over that, then he should just go ahead and wait. Once you hit your full retirement age, you can make as much as you want and collect Social Security benefits. Okay, so that takes the Social Security part out. In terms of Medicare, he has group insurance. He's self-employed, but has group insurance. So usually when you don't have to sign up for Medicare when you're 65 years old, if you have health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's current work, not a retirement plan or anything like that, current work, and that employer or group plan has 20 or more employees. So, but he's self-employed, so he might be some type of an organization or something as part of that whatever business he's in. That's kind of a touchy one there. I would reach out to someone. You can reach out to Chapter. They, full disclosure, they support this channel. You can reach out to them and they'll ask a few questions and determine whether he has to sign up. Because if you don't sign up when you're supposed to, then you'll get a 10% penalty for every 12 months you did not have coverage from work. Yeah, normally if you have health insurance and you're happy with it from current work, then you don't have to sign up. But in his particular case, because he's self-employed, a few more questions have to be asked. Exactly what type of group plan? Do they have 20 or more people in that group plan? And those questions have to be asked. So definitely reach out to whoever you know and trust that really, really knows the system. Or you can definitely reach out to Chapter, the 100% free. Marcus, 23% cut. Fine, bring it on. We can't afford Social Security. We need to raise the age to 70. Yeah, that's what you believe. That's what you believe. But, for people in my position right now, sitting behind a desk here, didn't always, old Marine Corps sergeant, never behind a desk there. But like my father was a long distance truck driver. Mom was a waitress. Yeah, can't work till 70. So if you've got an easy, non-manual job, then yeah. And the people that are making decisions, they got easy jobs, right? Wall Street, they got all their, they've got their, yeah. So, but those people out in manual jobs, they just can't wait till 70. So, let's see. What can be done to the person seen as president for intentional crimes against humanity? Vote. Yeah. Participatory democracy, right? There are computer jobs you can work from home. Okay, somebody answering somebody else's question. For you new people here, this is what we do. We've got a new website, 24help.org. We're redesigning it to make it easier, but we want as many people out there to help other people as possible, navigate their bureaucracy, get help. So we're doing everything we're possible in our community. We have the best community by far. I don't think there's any other there's other community on social media that does what we do. There's a bunch of people that talk about this and then they just say, okay, we've told you about that. Now go on and do what we actually follow up. So there are computer jobs you can work from. Can you do your school work from home and not have to be on SSDI, if I may ask? Yeah, I mean, remember, I've done a bunch of videos on the work incentives. Social Security has a lot of those. And let me pull up the new numbers for 2026. So if you look at the Social Security changes for 2026, it gets into, how much you can make for the annual earnings limit and all the rest of it, but also has disability thresholds. So if you or someone you know is receiving Social Security benefits, Social Security disability benefits, and you're saying, I'd like to see if I could work. Perfect. Awesome. If you're able to do it, go for it. Social Security doesn't hold that against you. The first thing you'll encounter is called the trial work period. That's specifically set up. That's a work incentive. That's specifically set up that you can work as long as you make for 2026 under $1,210 a month, $1,210. So if you make $1,209, you can do that, forever. Well, if you make under 2830, or 1690, I'll get into the other part. But the trial work period is 9 months. So basically in 9 months, you can make $1 billion a month and Social Security doesn't hold that against you. It's the trial work period, 9 months, not necessarily consecutive. And after that, after those 9 months, then you get into what's called the substantial gainful activity. So as long as you stay under $1,690 a month, you can collect Social Security benefits and continue to work as long as you're under $1,690. If you go over the amount, then they stop your benefits for every month. You go over that, and after a while, they just stop your benefits completely. So I've got a bunch of videos on that. I've got on my website, mygovexpert.com. You click on the disability thing, it gives you all the details there. So if they do away with Social Security, they better give me my money that they helped themselves to for all these years. Yeah, your money is there. I mean, it's in the trust fund. But if they decide to give that trust fund to Wall Street or whatever the case may be, then yeah, I guess that's the issue. So people always say, whatever happened to the money? Social Security trustees report comes out, the report every single, the whole thing about it, oh, it's a Ponzi scheme. Elon Musk said it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, when you're a Ponzi scheme, you don't know where the money goes. That's one of the indicators it's a Ponzi scheme. With Social Security, all you got to do is look at the report. And this is a basis of the report. In 2023, started off with $2.6 trillion. 1.2 trillion came in through FICA taxes, through interest, because we get paid interest on that, taxation of benefits. And then 1.3 trillion went out. Administrative expense, look at that, 4.9% for very, very small administrative expenses. Social Security is super, super efficient. Railroad retirement, that's kind of a weird thing. But 103 billion, was lost in terms of what came in and what went out. So that takes out, where'd that $103 billion come from? Comes from the trust fund. So they pulled out $103 billion from the trust fund. And so that's the number we have right now, $2.5 trillion left in the trust fund. So it's not, fake money or anything like that. It's in your paycheck. But that's another thing politicians do to trick us. They say, hey, yeah, it's all gone. It was stolen. I'm looking for it. So don't worry about it. They've been saying that for years, and it's all right there. It's just a trick that they use. That isn't fair. Social Security taxes are taken out of your check for a reason. So then when it's my turn to receive Social Security, I will end up not getting the amount of money I'm entitled to. So you need to, we need to make sure it's protected. And right now, they're making you yell and attack Social Security. And Social Security only does what Congress tells them to do. Like, for instance, the computer system. Social Security has been begging for decades, we need to update our Social Security system. Congress has continuously refused. And again, 40 years of this. That's, again, it's not a bug. It's not a mistake. It's the intention. Why would they do this? My 2024 earnings just hit the Social Security. Why did my Social Security retirement go down? Went from 2,776 to 2,729. How could that happen? I was expecting it to go up. Yeah, something else is wrong there. Something else, because what you're talking about is this happens automatically. So if you work, if you're 65, 75, 85, 95 years old and continue to work, Social Security looks at that particular year, in your case, 2024, and they say, okay, this is the person's one of the high 35 years. So they kick out a low one, stick in the new one, and then recalculate your benefits, and it always goes up. So yours went down about $50 or so. So I'm thinking something else. Did you sign up for a Part D plan? Because that's obviously not $185 for Part B. A Part D plan, I bet you that's a Part D plan, unless you have an overpayment or something like that. But it shouldn't go down. What usually happens is if you just found this out, then what usually happens is the Social Security employee that was working on your record, they did their calculations, they did their things, and they adjusted for last year and increased it, and they pushed the button. And then that immediately affects your benefit amount, what you get. And then the same time they push that button, two things happen. It adjusts your benefit amount, and it triggers a letter to be mailed out. So a lot of people receive, oh, I'm getting less. What's going on? And then about a week later, they receive the information, the explanation of why that happened. So if this just happened, I would wait a few days and you're probably going to get the letter. Or you can go into SSA.gov and sometimes it'll notify you in there, set up a My Social Security account. But if you don't get anything, yeah, that just doesn't make sense. The only way it would go down is if you're having to pay the Medicare Part B, if the state stopped paying your Medicare Part B for you, if you have like alimony or child support or some type of garnishment, or you're paying for Part D or some type of penalty. So if you don't get a letter within the next few days, or if this happened more than a week or two ago, you should have already gotten the letter if your address is correct in Social Security. Yeah, then you're going to have to call and find out what's going on. And if you find out what's going on, come back here and let us know so we know what's going on there. Yes, check out Chapter. Appreciate it. How you doing, Bella? At my current age, full retirement is 67. I'm only 56. I hope the full retirement age does not change. Yeah, you and I both. They tried to do that earlier this year. They tried a kind of a midnight increase to 70 years old, but that didn't go anywhere. So, yeah, we're going to make sure. And that's how they do it. They say, well, it's not going to affect you because this is what our parents essentially did in the 1980s under the Greenspan Commission and the Reagan administration. They said, well, it's not going to affect you, so we're going to go ahead and raise the retirement age from 65 to 67. And so that's usually how they do it. Happy birthday to our United States Marine Corps. Hoorah. Yeah, that's tomorrow, November 10th. Hoorah. Born in Tun Tavern. So that's my second birthday. Let's see. Those donations for the ballroom may not have been enough for tearing down the East Wing and starting from scratch. Now more money is needed. Where does it come from? Yeah, I complained about that. And people say, well, it's not government money. People are hungry out there. People are struggling. And is the ballroom, is a Great Gatsby party, kind of the optics that, yeah. So I don't care where from. That $300 million could have gone to a lot of other places. Get, these corporations that some of these don't even pay taxes. If they're going to donate money, donate it to homeless shelter, or, shoring up Social Security or something. But a ballroom that's only going to be used for the next 3 years and probably going to be torn down. I'm going on record right here that it's going to be torn down within the next 5-6 years. So, or converted into office space. So yeah, it's a complete waste of money. 65 now, SSDI, want to switch to regular Social Security. How do I do this? Nobody does that. Yeah, because you're going to be losing money. If you want to make less money, sure, go for it. But if you're on Social Security disability benefits, your benefit amount is based on your full retirement age. If you want to switch to regular retirement benefits at 65, then you're going to get probably a 2-year reduction, 24-month reduction. So there are some people that do it less than 0.01%. And the reason they do it is because they want to go back to work and they want to make more money working. And with disability, they might be out of their trial work period. And so they want to continue working, but with disability, there's limitations on working. So they want to work more. So if that's your situation, then yeah, you just call up Social Security and you say, I want to withdraw my disability claim and then switch to retirement benefits. They'll cut your benefit amount and you have an easier way. You have more capability of working. So Stephen, forever GI Bill. Oh, yeah. Don't get me on that. I was in the Marine Corps in the 80s, so I got VEAP, the Veterans Educational Assistance Program, which was the worst GI Bill you could probably get. I think I used it in 2 semesters at the University of Hawaii. I was stationed at Camp Smith in Kaneohe Bay. So anyway, so drop the FICA cap and double the tax on those that didn't pay the cap that should have been dropped 40 plus years ago. Yeah, I agree. The FICA cap, that's the one thing that will shore up Social Security more than any other program. So I qualify as a blind person for SSDI. Yeah, so SSDI, speaking of the veteran there, with veterans disability benefits, there's, you get different ratings, 10%, 20%, fully, whatever the case may be, but Social Security doesn't have any of that. Basically, they have you're disabled, but they do have a different category for blind disability. And then ESRD and Lou Gehrig's disease, but that's just more for Medicare than anything else. So I have asked this question many times before, but never got an answer. If I work for over the limit after taking my Social Security at 62, does any of the penalty money come back to me during tax filing? No, not during tax filing. No, that's the IRS. That's a whole different thing. So, but I talked about this a few times. I think I talked about it yesterday. If you are receiving retirement benefits on your full retirement age, and when Social Security says retirement benefits, they mean retirement benefits on your own record. They mean spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, survivor benefits. Those all have limitations on how much you can work while you're under your full retirement age. Okay, so with any of those retirement-based programs, if you work and your benefits stop because of it. Okay, let's say this year it's $23,400. So if you make $10,000 over, they're going to hold back $5,000 worth of benefits. So let's say they hold back 3 months worth of benefits. Okay. Once you hit your full retirement age, they will recalculate those 3 months back. They won't send you the checks for those 3 months, the $5,000. What they do is they unreduce your benefit amount. So for instance, if you were reduced for 30 months, you started your benefits 30 months early, you were reduced for 30 months. Let's say you only took 10 months and you were suspended the other 20 months because you went over. So once you hit your full retirement age, when they're about to write you a check when you start your benefits back up, they're saying, oh, okay, we're writing the check here. Oh, wait a second, this check is reduced by 30 months. But you only took 10 months. Oh, okay, let's recalculate. And we're only going to reduce you for 10 months because that's all you took. So that's how you get that money back, but it's not the IRS. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the IRS. I never work for the IRS. I don't give IRS type advice. I wish all those social media people out there that never work for Social Security would stop giving Social Security advice and stop making Social Security videos because anyway, but what are you going to do? Now there's a bunch of them that are doing AI overseas. Now the trend is all throughout the world, people realize, particularly cola type stuff, they're making all kinds of cola and you have to do this and they're scaring people and it's just AI and they're just waste. Just please stop. My 25-year-old daughter received a letter saying she owes $15,000 for overpayment of Social Security. She hasn't even earned that kind of money. Could it be from being on disability when she was a minor? Could very well be. The long arm of the law. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've had people that have received a overpayment letter from something they received 30, 40 years ago when they were a kid. So that could very well be it. So in terms of the overpayment, so you need to address that. And number one, find out exactly what it is. So if she was on disability, so she was before the age of 18, was she on child disability, SSI herself, or whatever the case may be, and the parent was receiving benefits or not. So whatever the case may be, there's a lot of situations where the child can receive benefits under the age of 18. The problem is, she obviously, they attach it to her Social Security number, the overpayment. Social Security always tries to get the overpayment back. So if it was, they reached out to the parents or whatever the case may be, and as soon as you go file for benefits, they see that on this particular Social Security number, there is an overpayment. So they immediately send it out and say there's an overpayment, and they try to get it from everybody, including your poor daughter that had nothing to do. She was probably a super small minor, right? But that's just the way the system works. So you just have to fight it. And if you go onto my website, mygovexpert.com there, and you click on appeals, on the overpayment, let's do the overpayment. You click on overpayments and it gives you all of the ways you can do it. So pay it in full. I probably wouldn't do that for now. Request a waiver. So, and to request a waiver is SSA 632. So a request for reconsideration, most people mess up these forms. They don't understand. A lot of Social Security employees don't know the difference between these forms. But in your particular case, I would do a request for waiver and say, hey, two things have to be met. It's not your fault, and you don't have the ability to repay it. So, if you can she can jump over those hurdles, says, hey, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So even if it isn't her fault, if she's, independently wealthy and she's got millions of dollars, they'll still make her pay it back. That's, because there is an overpayment. But both of those two things have to be met. It's not her fault, which, okay, piece of cake. And she also has to prove she doesn't have the ability to repay it, even at, $10 a month or $50 a month for the next 20 or 30 years. So those are the things you need to be prepared for. You have to prove that it's not her fault and she doesn't have the ability to repay it. The not the fault part is pretty easy, but the other part you just have to prove. And with the SSA 632, that's where all the medical documentation comes in. So let's see. So it's still hard to get through to chapter Medicare. Yeah, it's wow, they're very, very popular. So many people are reaching out to them because they want help throughout the year, because they've got a phenomenal team that helps people throughout the year. So everybody wants to use them as their Medicare people, to go-to people, so they can, yeah. So, but if try later, they're open 7 days a week. I don't think they're getting any sleep nowadays. Monday through Friday, they're open till 10 o'clock East Coast time. And on the weekends, they're open till 9 o'clock. So probably that last hour or so, 9 o'clock East Coast time, during the week, or 8 o'clock on the weekends, I bet you have better luck. If you still can't get through, make sure you reach out to me and I'll make sure they contact you. My email is ed@mygovexpert.com. So let's see. Haley, don't think we recognize you. Welcome to our awesome community. I spent the night at the hospital to come home and find it's time to red 9 Medicaid. 8 just got back in June. Redetermination of your Medicaid. Yeah, that's going to happen a lot more frequently for everybody. You can't cut close to $1 trillion out of the Medicaid system and not have collateral damage. And that's, again, that's going to be part of the system. Is states are going to have a very, very difficult time funding that Medicaid because they've lost the federal money. So they are going to make it as difficult as possible. Even if you're 100% eligible for Medicaid, people are out there who says, "Yeah, I'm disabled, I'm 65, and I got no money, so Medicaid, yeah, I'll definitely keep Medicaid." Yeah, I wish that was true. They're going to make you do these recertifications, and if you don't do everything 100% perfectly, then they could cut you off. And then you fight it and fight it and get restarted again. But yeah, so that's what we're coming up with our program to help as many people. So make sure the new website is 24help.org. It's being redesigned right here now to make it easier, but that's the hub, that's the resource that we're going to use to help out as many people. So many presidents have made many changes to the White House and taxpayers' dime, bowling alleys, basketball courts, and did you know the press room used to be a swimming pool? Yep. Yeah. They put the swimming pool in there for FDR because he had polio, and so, yep, 100%. But they went through normal channels. They talked to the historian and the person in charge of the White House, and they got the money from Congress and all that stuff. Yeah, so they did it all correctly. So, but not so much now. And again, a ballroom during, yeah. Not to mention, it's very hard to find work right now in my area. I tried to find work study, but there's nothing right now. I need SSDI to get through college. Yeah. Yeah. If you're disabled, disability, Social Security disability, it's defined as the inability to work. An inability to work, again, you can still work, but it's called substantial gainful activity. So if you file for, so let's reach out to the people out there, anybody you know. This is what we do here. We use this information to help people in our community. So if you know anybody that is disabled and is unable to work because of their disability, and you're saying, well, that's not that person because that person's working. Substantial gainful activity. So if you're non-blind, then substantial gainful activity for this year is 1620. So if you know someone that says, you used to have a, good job making $2,000 or $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever the case may be, and then became disabled, and now could only work 1 or 2 days a week, or had to take an easier job because they can't, move around, or whatever the case may be, and they're earning under $1,620, they just might be eligible for Social Security. They're definitely eligible to file. If you walk into a Social Security office and say, I want to file for disability, the first question they will ask is how much did you make this month? And if you say $17, $18, $2,000, they say, yeah, no, sorry, you can't file for disability because you're making over SGA. So there are some exceptions there. They're called IRWEs, impairment-related work expenses. So if you're, have to pay $100 a month for whatever type of, apparatus you need to be able to work, then sometimes they can take that off. Yeah, let's reach out to as many people as possible. And there's so many people that are eligible for benefits, but just don't get it because they don't know what they don't know. And that's why y'all are here. Maydol, 69 and separated, receiving under $500 retirement from husband. Do I qualify for SSI? Was denied my own disability Social Security after marriage 10 years ago. SSI is a supplemental security income welfare-based program. The max this year is $967. The max next year is $994. So you're receiving $500 retirement from husband. Are you receiving any on your own? Make up the difference. So if you're, for right now, for this year, if you're receiving less than $967, and you've got no other income really coming in, no resources, for a single $2,000 of resources, for a married couple $3,000 of resources. If you're under that, 100% file for SSI. And it's not about disability. You can get SSI, supplemental security income, based on a disability or being aged. So if you're aged, 65 and older, you can get SSI just be on the fact you're 65 and older. You don't have to be disabled. So definitely reach out to Social Security if that's your case and file for SSI, and do it immediately, if not sooner. And those are approved relatively, well, under normal circumstances, approved relatively quickly, because you don't have to go through the whole disability approval process. You just, prove that you're 65, at least 65, which they've already got it on record. You'll just have to provide proof that you are under the income and resource limits. So, and remember, Maydol, there's so much out there. That's what we do here, is fill in all the blanks, all the pieces of the puzzle. If that's all you're receiving, make sure you reach out to Medicaid. If you have Medicare and you have to pay that $185, reach out to Medicaid, whatever they call it in your state, and file for Medicaid. And if you're approved, they just might pay that $185, and then you might be eligible for other programs. So yes, get everything out there that you're eligible for. Yes. Paula, what I see here is this is a political channel and not a channel for Social Security. No, well, you mean partisan. Now, we're not partisan here. We are political. Political means politics is about resources, our resources. And us, as of the people, by the people, and for the people, we want to determine where those resources go. We're not partisan in sense of, okay, we're attacking this party because, remember what I showed you. There's a lot of this is how politicians, divide us, and this is why we can't get anything done, because we do stuff like this. Oh wait, I was showing the wrong one. Let me show the other one here. I didn't say this doesn't say 40 years of Republican failure or Democratic failure. This says 40 years of failure on both sides. So we criticized Biden, the Social Security Fairness Act. That was a stupid act. It should never, he said he was going to save Social Security and do all this, but he didn't do it. So failure, failure, failure. So it's across the board. But this is the way politicians, divide and conquer us by making us attack each other. So we're not partisan, but we are political. This is our money, and we want to say where it goes, not just the rich and powerful. So we are political, but you mean partisan, but we're not partisan. We attack anybody. If anybody has a good idea, like Trump's idea for was it the GLP-1, the Ozempic and stuff like that, love it. Don't know all the details yet, but it sounds very, very good. You know, people paying $1,000 a month for that, and now that might be $250. So yeah, that's a great idea. Devil's in the details, as I always say. But yeah, as of right now, love it, love it. So, Dr. Ed, I'm on SSDI. I'm in a blue state and started receiving it last year. Is there any new changes for SSDI in a blue state? No changes. Doesn't matter whether you're in a red state or blue state. Social Security is national. So all of the regulations and policies and procedures are national. It doesn't matter where you are. I did a video about them, the administration trying to make it more difficult to get SSDI and to keep SSDI. And there was an analysis done by ProPublica that I talked about. And they said the way the changes are made, it will actually hurt red states more because more people on red states are on Social Security disability benefits. That's always kind of the irony there. So, but yeah, there is no difference between that. But a lot of the blue states, there's at least a consolation prize there. Some of the blue states, even if there is no disability benefits, those blue states, some of them like California, New York, and other places, they do have state disability programs that you can fall back on, that there's another social safety net. In the red states, it's, survival of the fittest. Chapter is open 7 days a week. Yes, until December 7th. And then they're going to go into hibernation for 24 hours until they open up again. So, but yeah, it's crazy. 2026 plans. Let me throw you the number up there. So if you need help with chapter, when you call them to make sure you get the best plan for you, have your current Medicare Advantage plan or whatever plan, there, so they compare apples to apples. If you're looking for a Medicare Advantage plan, have your providers that you definitely want to see, have those names. If you have prescriptions, have your prescriptions there so they can find you the cheapest plan to, that covers those prescriptions and saves you the most money. If you have a particular pharmacy that you like to use and want to support, have the name. If you have priorities, you need more dental, vision, you want to save as much money on, overnight at a hospital or CT scans or whatever. And then prices on all that. Prices. Don't only focus on, it's zero premium. Yeah, most of them are zero premium, and that's the trick, kind of the, it's kind of like the old $9.99 oil change. And then, do you want to filter with that? That's $400. So anyway, and then persistence. The other 365 days of the year, you have to stay persistent if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and fight for everything. And that's how it's going to happen when they privatize Social Security. You have to fight for everything to get your money back. So call them up. And again, if you can't get through first time, they're super popular right now, but they'll take care of you. And if you try a couple times and you can't get through, email me at ed@mygovexpert.com. All right, let's get into some video questions we have here.
Hi, my name is Nancy. I been getting survivor benefits for the last year from my ex-spouse who died. I've been working the whole time I've been getting spouse benefits, and so I'm contributing more to my own account, and when they recalculate my benefit, they give me the increase on my record, but they take away what I'm getting on my spouse benefit. And I feel like they're ripping me off because the whole point I work, part of it is because I need more Social Security to live on. So I just need to know, are they ripping me off, or is there some legal basis for them doing this? Because that's not what I was led to believe when I got on Social Security. Thank you.
All right. Unfortunately, that's the way the calculations are done. So when you file for spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, and if you're receiving benefits on your own record, So let's say your benefits on your own record is $1,000 and you're eligible for another $1,000 from your spouse. So that's $2,000. So if you continue to work and pay into Social Security, and let's say your benefit amount goes up to $1,100, you're still only eligible for the max, the $2,000 off of your spouses. So you'll get $900. The benefits from your spouse will be reduced by $100 because yours increase $100. So unfortunately, that's the way the calculations go. On surviving spouse benefits, I know this doesn't apply to you, but for other people that are new here, if you file for surviving spouse benefits, you don't necessarily have to file for benefits on your own record. That's one of the exceptions out there. So you can file for survivor benefits and then don't touch your own record. Don't file for benefits on your own record. You start collecting surviving spouse benefits, and then up until you reach 70, that's when it stops maxing out. On your own record, you can switch to benefits on your own record at 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Don't wait till after you're 70 because they don't increase based on work. So if you're just receiving surviving spouse benefits, you collect those and you don't touch your own, you continue to work, and those benefits will continue to increase based on your work and obviously based on COLA. And then when it's higher, then you switch to surviving benefits to benefits on your own record. In your particular case, you've already touched benefits on your own record. So yeah, unfortunately, maybe in the future, your benefits, if you continue to work, your benefits will be higher than your surviving spouse, and then you switch over to benefits on your own record. But doesn't sound like that's the case. So it's unfortunate that's the way the calculations go.
Yes, this is Larry in Oklahoma City. I have a question. I filed for Social Security late after I was eligible. I was incarcerated when I turned 65, so I was not able to file, and I'm being penalized for it. But when I got out, I got a job that had Social Security. I'm sorry, that had insurance that I was covered for. Well, this year I retired due to bad health. So I worked 2 years for this company, and they covered me through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So when I got out, I filed for my Social Security, and they penalized me. And I've been trying to appeal that because I was incarcerated during that time. What can I do, or is there anything I can do to get off?
Okay, it sounds like you're already doing it. You're fighting it. So that's exactly what you do. So, so you have to file for Medicare at 65 if you're eligible, but in your particular case, you're incarcerated, so they should make an exception on that one. And then after you got out, I'm not sure the time frame here, but you even have 7 months when you turn 65. So I'm not exactly sure what time frame we're looking at for all this. But in terms of the work, you have to show that you did have health insurance from work for however long, for that year, 2 years, or 3 years on and off, or whatever the case may be. So at the very, very minimum, if you show that, it depends on the timing there. They might be able to, charge you the regular $185 for everybody else, and you don't get a penalty, or at the very least, you reduce the penalty because sometime in between there you didn't have it. But it sounds like you're doing it exactly right. You are appealing the process. You filed an SSA 561. Make sure you make it official. Don't just call them up and say, hey, I disagree with it. That it technically is supposed to work, but with this, the way the system is going right now, it doesn't. You actually have to file an SSA 561. It's a request for reconsideration and saying, hey, I shouldn't be penalized. Here's the situation. And you're going to have to provide proof that you did have health insurance from work. And then you can, I'll show you the details here. You go onto my website. The top part isn't showing there, but you go onto the website, mygovexpert.com, and you click on the Medicare there, and you go into enrollment periods. So you have the initial enrollment period. That's when you're 85. You have 7 months there. But in your particular case, you are looking for an SEP, the special enrollment period. So you need to prove that you did have health insurance from work during some of that time. And this is the form that you need. So the form CMS L564, let me make sure the link still works there. Yep, there it is right there. And it takes you to the Medicare form that you fill out, and you take it down to your employer, and your employer fills it out that says, yes, Larry from Oklahoma City did have health insurance from this time to this time. And you get any employer, if you have multiple employers, you get as many of these as you possibly can, give it over to Social Security, and they'll correct it. If everything takes forever right now, unfortunately. And if they determine that you shouldn't be penalized for any or all of it, they will return that money. So whatever extra money you're paying right now, because for the Part B, it's 10% for every 12 months you did not have health insurance, from work and current work and all that stuff. Same thing with Part D. There's a penalty for Part D, but that's a 1% for every month you did not have Part D. So if you give them all that forms and they make they adjudicate that and they put it in the system and they determine, okay, from now on you don't have an overpayment and you should never have an overpayment, whatever you paid over up until that time, they'll reimburse that. But I'm sure you need that money now, so it's important that you get this process done officially as soon as possible. If you got any questions, make sure you come back. That's somebody shy here.
Hi, Ed. I have a question. My daughter is about to turn 18 January 24th. She's on Survivors, and they didn't give me the full 3 months to fill out her forms. We don't have a printer, we don't have transportation, and her online school is a distance from us. I'm wondering if I can upload those Form 1372s online or fax them through my local library that's just a jog down the street. Or do I have to send those in, or can I do both to protect myself? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, either one, all of those, that's fine. Yeah, so what she's talking about is her daughter is receiving benefits as a surviving child, whatever, someone that receiving disability benefits or retirement benefits, whatever. A child can receive benefits off a parent's record up until they're 18. And then they stop automatically when you're 18, and you just have to prove that the child is still in high school. And then if the child's still in high school, they get it until they graduate high school, or 19 and 2 months. So that's the form that is needed. So in this environment, you can, mail it, fax it. If you're going to fax it, make sure you get the number of the local Social Security office, Google it, and they should have the fax number there. You fax it in there. It goes into a system called WorkTrack, a paperless system, which I designed when I was there, helped design. So it's definitely, if you fax it, it'll definitely go into that system. But the problem is an employee actually has to work that. And yeah, that's going to be another month or 2 months or 3 months because they just don't have the employees, unfortunately. And again, politicians. Anyway, but if you fax it, make sure you use a fax that has a confirmation that it went through. So in that way you've got proof. And the same thing I was talking to Larry about there, the delay, don't worry about it. Once they put the action in, if your daughter was actually eligible for benefits during that time, they'll give you that retroactive benefits. But same type of situation, I know you want that money as soon as possible. So.
My wife is 100% disabled to the state of Massachusetts, but because I make more than $3,000 a month, they said that she couldn't draw off of mine and she doesn't have a work history.
Okay, so getting benefits from the state, doesn't, in this particular case, doesn't affect getting benefits as a spouse. And the fact that you make $3,000, you have to be collecting Social Security benefits. So maybe that's the issue. You're making $3,000 working. So if you're working, making $3,000, then that means you're probably not receiving Social Security benefits, and therefore you have to actually file. For her to get benefits on your record as a current spouse, you have to start receiving Social Security benefits. And if your Social Security benefit is $3,000 a month, then her not being insured for benefits on her own record, no issue whatsoever. She has to be 62 every month, or at least 62. She has to file for benefits on her own record. It's just a procedure, and they say, okay, you're not eligible for benefits on your own record, no problem. Let's go ahead and get your benefits on your spouse's benefit. So yeah, it's probably an age thing there, possibly. Yeah, give me a little bit more information if that doesn't answer your question. So record another video there. And if anybody else wants to record a video and ask a question more detailed, you got 2 minutes to record the video. Go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, click on the little camera icon on the bottom left and record your video. And if you do it today, I will answer it tomorrow. I answer them pretty much the next day, unless we have like a guest speaker or something. So, all right, y'all take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. And please, 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 please take care of each other out there. Take care. Bye-bye.